That's occurred in most investigations. Back even in the Watergate days, people said, follow the money. And that's correct. In this case, you've got to follow the money. Who saves money by using these toxic dispersants? Well, it's BP. But then the next question, I've only seen one article that describes it, who owns BP? And I think when you look and see who owns BP, you find that it's the majority ownership, 1 billion shares, is a company called BlackRock that was created, owned, and run by a gentleman named Larry Fink. And the Vanity Fair just did recently an article about Mr. Fink and his connections with Mr. Geithner, Mr. Summers, and others in the administration. So I think what's needed, we now know that there's a cover-up. Dispersants are being used. Congress, at least 3 Congress folks, Congressman Markey, Congressman Nadler, and Senator Mikulski are on the case. And I think the media now has to follow the money, just as they did in Watergate, and tell the American people who's getting money for poisoning the millions of people in the Gulf. Not only do you have airplanes flying and dropping them on the Gulf region like Agent Orange in Vietnam, but a large amount of it is being shot into the water column at 5,000 feet to disperse the oil as it gushers out. And so you have spread, according to the Associated Press, over perhaps 44,000 square miles, an oil and dispersant mix. And what's happened is that makes it impossible to skim the oil out of the water. One of the things that happened is they brought this big boat whale in from Japan to get rid of the oil, and it didn't work because the majority of the oil is spread throughout the water column over thousands of square miles in the Gulf. And so and there's been a lot of work to show that dispersants, which is true, make it more difficult to clean up the mess than if you didn't use them. The sole purpose in the Gulf for dispersants is to keep a cover-up going for BP to try to hide the volume of oil that has been released and save them hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars of fines. That's the purpose of using the dispersants, not to protect the public health or the environment, quite the opposite. Basically, the problem is dispersants mixed with oil and air pollution. EPA, like in 9/11, I did that investigation 9 years ago, was not doing adequate and proper testing. Same thing with OSHA. With the workers, they're using mostly BP's contractor, and BP's contractor for doing air testing is the company that's used by companies to prove they don't have a problem. If you remember the wallboard pollution problem from China, the wallboard from China, this company does that environmental monitoring. It's a massive cover-up, and so far, luckily, we have 2 members of Congress and 1 member of the Senate on the case. Hopefully more will join in. And what they documented was that the water, you know, when you're on the sand with your children and they dig and there's a little water, they documented there was over 200 parts per million of oil waste in the water, and it's not noticeable to the human eye, that your children were playing with on the beach. On top of it, the contamination in one of the samples was so high that when they put the solvent in as a first step in identifying how much oil may be in the water, the thing blew up, just as he said, probably because there was too much Corexit in that particular sample. But what's funny about that is on Thursday, the administrator of EPA, in answering Senator Mikulski's question at the hearing that you played the clip on, said that EPA has tested the water up to 3 miles out and onshore and found that it's safe. And then a few days later, the television station in Pensacola and in Mobile document with their own limited testing that statement was false, misleading, and or inaccurate by the administrator under oath to Senator Mikulski in that hearing.